So, is colorism a problem in young black Hollywood? So, the idea for this video came to me ages ago, like in September, but I've taken forever to discuss it and make a video on it. I was finally prompted to make the video after seeing The Hate You Give with Amandla Stenberg and hearing the decision to cast Yara Shahidi as the main character in the movie The Sun Is Also a Star. So some people might say my decision to discuss this content is baseless because I live in Canada. However, it is well known that like a majority of Canadian media is imported from America, and so these depictions do also have an impact on how Canadians view black people. In addition, Canadian black representation is completely lacking, and that would be basically another video for another time. If you'd be interested in that, please let me know. So, you might wonder why these casting decisions would bother me after all. Yara and Amandla identify as black women. So, what's the big deal? Well, colorism is a form of discrimination in which individuals are accorded different social and economic treatment based on skin color and or phenotype. It is the distribution of privilege and disadvantage according to the lightness or darkness of one's skin, with favoritism typically granted to those with lighter skin. So colorism differs essentially in whichever culture you are from. But it is a global issue, and it may play out differently for different genders, but it is still an important issue. This plays out differently, like I said, for many cultures and is a global issue. This video is focused on black people because, well, and it would be very presumptuous of me to contribute to the dialogue that I have no experience with. So I would never talk about colorism in the Asian community or colorism in Europe because I'm not Asian, nor am I European. So whatever I would have to say about those issues would sort of be baseless because I'm not either of those things. I have no experience with any of that. This is why I'm discussing colorism in the black community, specifically black Hollywood. Let's talk about some historical context. So, the genesis of a societal preference for light over dark can be explained in societies across the Americas, where the racialization process was achieved through European colonialism and the enslavement of African people. Whiteness functions as the equivalent of a property right that provides access to an array of social advantages. Because we are talking about Hollywood, I will focus on the American context. During the era of slavery, light-skinned black people, often the offspring of white slave owners and enslaved Africans, were given preferential treatment, including greater access to education and assignment to housework, while darker-skinned black people were typically relegated to outdoor tasks, like picking cotton. This is where we see the idea that the lighter you are and closer you are to whiteness, the more superior you are. This plays out in people's real lives today as the socialization to prefer lighter-skinned black females results in a higher rate of marriage for lighter-skinned women with a light complexion in comparison to their darker-skinned counterparts. Researchers have found that higher income is also associated with significantly lower levels of systolic blood pressure for lighter-skinned black people, but that economic success does not protect the health of darker-skinned black people. Since the 1990s, a greater amount of evidence has emerged that shows a relationship between colorism and job outcomes, with darker-skinned people facing relatively larger job penalties associated with their skin shade. Now, know that colorism is bad. So you may be wondering, what does this have to do with media? Well, is it no surprise that our media is a great depiction of the rampant discrimination darker-skinned people face? A great example comes from the 1988 movie Coming to America. This might seem like a harmless scene between two sisters, but Patrice, the darker-skinned sister, is a foil to her sister, who is lighter-skinned.
What is it? Something for you. Do you mind if I open it? Whoa. You think they're real? They couldn't be. From an admirer, not Daryl. Somebody's messing around. I am not. I don't care how much a man admires you. He's not going to give you earrings like that unless you're giving him a little booty. Not everybody thinks like you, Patrice. Yes, they do. They just don't admit it.
Patrice is depicted as someone who is a gold digger and is sexually promiscuous in comparison to her light and bright sister. Patrice is a stereotype of darker-skinned women. She's a Jezebel. Unlike her sister, who is pure and good-hearted, Patrice is bad and only involved with men for material things like money and diamonds. The lighthearted, jokey demeanor might not give off this particular sentiment, but I really implore you to think about it a little bit more if you've seen the movie. Another example is from the greatly successful sitcom Martin. Martin is set in Detroit during the 1990s, and it focuses on Martin Payne, a DJ, and his relationship with his light-skinned girlfriend, Gina. So, in every scene that has Martin and Pam, Gina's best friend, who's a darker-skinned woman, we notice a back and forth between them. Martin consistently makes jokes about Pam's femininity and her looks. It is no surprise that Pam, who's the darker-skinned one, is continuously berated, insulted, and made.
Now, why don't you see that there's some chuck wagon in there for you, all right? Now, back up off me.
Let me see. We got free lotion and free shampoo.
Shampoo? Why don't you just send your wig out to the cleaners, man? Don't get it all caught up with the shampoo type stuff. I don't.
Got a spa here. Ooh. You know, I'm gonna give you a massage.
A massage is a good idea. Yeah. It'll get you all loosened up for that bullfight tonight.
Hello?
What's happening, Bertha Butt Boogie? Where my woman at?
You should know not to use the word at the end of a sentence. Now, work that out, 5th grade education.
Yeah, whatever. Just put my woman on the phone, all right? All right, Napoli Cole.
Moreover, Martin sometimes goes into character pretending to be a woman called Sheneneh, basically a caricature of a darker-skinned black woman. This is basically misogynoir at its finest, and it's kind of surprising the cult following this show has, because I just watch it and I don't know if I can get past that. With these examples, it is no surprise that colorism is still perpetuated in Hollywood today. Can you think of a poppin' young black female actress today? I'll give you 5 seconds. Also, by the way, when I say young, I think women in their late teens or early 20s, and some people who are in their late 20s who are also popular right now. The people I think of are Yara Shahidi, Zendaya, Alexandra, Shipp, Storm Reed, and China Ann McClain. Those were the people I could come up with within the 5 seconds. This might be even an exhaustive list for some people. The only brown-skinned person on this list is China Ann McClain. Possibly her sisters as well, if you thought of them as well. If you Googled young black female actress, a similar list would pop up. However, what do most of these girls have in common? I'm not trying to come after these women. I don't hate them, but I do believe it is fruitful to discuss their contribution to this issue. Most of them have created a platform for themselves in which they discuss Black social issues and make themselves the face of young Black social response and conscious response to issues. I do believe it is fair on this basis to discuss what is not being said. So, how have some of these actresses addressed colorism in the business? Zendaya has said,
"As a Black woman, as a light-skinned Black woman, it's important that I'm using my privilege, my platform, to show you how much beauty there is in the African-American community," she said during a conversation with Bozoma St. John, Uber's chief brand officer. "I am Hollywood's, I guess you could say, acceptable version of a Black girl, and that has to change."
To me, it seems like Zendaya is very aware of colorism and its real life effect on people, and it's great to see a young Black female actress address this very real issue. Alexandra Shipp, another lighter-skinned, popular Black actress, had a controversy recently because she was cast as Storm, who is an East African woman, I believe canon, by the way, for a new X-Men movie. She sparked a storm of her own on social media last year when she pushed back against criticism for playing the role. Alexandra said,
"You're not going to tell me that my skin color doesn't match a Crayola from 1970. Growing up, when I was reading the comics, I pictured her looking like me."
Girl, there is a picture of her.
Okay, for any Black girl, for there to be a Black superhero, we picture them looking like us. So when I auditioned for the role, I wasn't like, "Oh man, I'm not dark enough." I was like, finally, this is my moment. I'm not playing Harriet Tubman with a prosthetic nose and darkening my skin tone. I would never do that.
That last comment was a reference to Zoe Saldana, who was cast to play Nina Simone. That was literally a whole mess and a half. This is not a surprise, as Alexandra Shipp completely dismisses the very real issue of colorism because in her mind, it ain't a real thing. Another person we can talk about is Yara Shahidi. So Yara Shahidi, if you may not know, was in the show Blackish and is now in the show Grownish, which is basically a spin-off of Blackish. Yara is very open and she's very active when it comes to social issues, and I do think she's very conscious and she's very aware of things. But in response to her TV show Grownish and its lack of dark skin representation, she said, "It is
okay not to watch the show, but on the basis of my racial ambiguity, that neglects the fact that I am perceived as a young Black girl in most any space I occupy. Now, we can have a separate conversation on the ever-present colorism and a monolithic Black aesthetic on TV of 3C hair and lighter skin."
While what Yara said later on is true concerning the incorrect idea of what a biracial person can look like, not all are light-skinned, and if you think that, you need to read up on genetics, please. Her comments completely gloss over and ignore colorism. She is, in fact, a lighter-skinned girl with a looser curl pattern. Like, we can't ignore that, sis. None of the characters in her show are darker-skinned. Like, sis, stop. I know you're smarter than this. The show did attempt to address this in an episode. The episode was titled, "It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp," but it completely missed the mark.
Okay, for real, is there something in the water around here? Was there some event, some movie, some Drake song that said Black guys should stop dating Black girls?
Maybe it was those Wendy Williams vacation photos.
They were pretty devastating.
I'm just starting to think this shit is a problem.
Come on, it's probably just a slow night. No.
It's a slow semester.
Facts. In high school, dudes were always checking for us.
Yeah, but didn't you go to, like, South Central High? I'm just saying that we're at a primarily white institution. There's a much smaller pool of black guys here.
Yeah, and some of the pool are gay. Most of the athletes like white girls, and we're left with very few options.
Who don't seem to be checking for us.
Oh my god, are you guys telling me that you haven't had any action in 6 months?
While this is focusing on dating issues for black women, it is not discussing colorism. In the episode, they discuss how dating is harder for some groups, particularly black women. Throughout the episode, Chloe and Holly's characters start to call out the various black men on campus for being only attracted to light-skinned girls. Did they mean for this to be ironic? Because the entire cast is light-skinned. You can't really make an effective statement on the issue when your show itself is perpetuating this same issue. This issue is also seen on the show Blackish as well. I mean, that could be another video. It could, be called The Depictions of Black Family in Media. If you'd like me to do that, let me know. But yeah, I don't really think you can make a very effective statement when your show continues to further the same issue. So let's hope that Grownish will make a better attempt at tackling this issue in the upcoming season. Like I said earlier, I don't hate any of these people. I just implore everyone to think critically about what we are being shown on TV.